Banjo Kazooie is a classic 3D platformer that was developed and released by Rare on June 29, 1998 on the Nintendo 64. Interestingly enough, although Banjo's game may have come out in 1998, his debut as a playable character was actually in 1997 in Diddy Kong Racing. Banjo Kazooie had a few sequels. There's Banjo Tooie, for me, an all-time classic, which may be my favorite video game of all time, but that's for another video, like 4 weeks from now maybe. There's also Grunty's Revenge, which I never played because it came out on the Game Boy Advance and like, what? Why? Where's Banjo 3? Oh, yeah. That. I'm just kidding. Nuts and Bolts is actually kind of dope. Seriously though, I do wish we got a true Banjo 3-quel. Chances are we never got Banjo 3 because Rare was purchased by Microsoft on September 24th, 2002 and thought the old cute 3D platforming would be a thing of the past. Hence why we got Nuts and Bolts. Not all bad things happen by Rare going to Microsoft, like Banjo Kazooie and Tooie having re-releases on the Xbox 360 on November 26, 2008. Speaking of re-releases, those are the versions I'll be playing because the Xbox Series X has way less lag and is a little more refined. Although heavily inspired by the behemoth that was Mario 64, Rare had no interest in making a soulless clone of Mario. Banjo's world is so alive, I mean literally everything apparently has a soul and will talk to you and acknowledge you. Shoes? They'll let you know how they work. Ice will literally fight you to the death. Eggs? Willing to die for you. To die for the cause. I've rarely seen another game with so much life and character. The characters are funny, every world has so much color and a unique charm. For its era, the gameplay is mostly tight, and the movesets are brilliantly done, expanding on the running, jumping, and collecting formula that a lot of its predecessors had. Banjo built on the foundation that Mario 64 made for the 3D platformer, but unlike Mario 64, it doesn't kick you out of a level after you collect a Jiggy, which is Banjo's star. Despite a few other little-known games such as Ocarina of Time, Half-Life, and Resident Evil 2 making their debuts in 1998, Banjo ended up as the 10th highest selling game on the N64. Look at the reactions for Banjo's announcement on Smash Bros, and you'll see how much of a profound impact this game had on so many, myself included. Banjo Kazooie is about a bear, Banjo, and his totally 110% platonic roommate and backpack buddy, a sassy bird named Kazooie. Makes me wonder how they came up with the name for the game. Unbeknownst to Banjo, who's too busy sleeping at the time, an envious, rhyme-spittin', 8-mile witch, Grunty, plans to abduct his little sister Tootie and steal her beauty for her own, leaving her as the baddest goth in town, and Tootie looking like the original design for Shrek. To save Tootie, you have to make it through Grunty's lair, which houses 9 unique yet charming levels. The diversity of level design is undeniably wonderful, and although not every level is a certified banger, all of the levels have a chance to stand out on their own. Racing Boggy, the God Bear, in a winter wonderland through slaloms is something memorable from Freezeezy Peak, while Treasure Trove Cove is more of a tropical island where going for a swim turns into a scene from Jaws. I just want to give a shout out to the shark real quick because I'm pretty sure this is where my anxiety issues started. Falling in the water and then having that haunting music start? Instant nightmare fuel. At least you only have to deal with him in the one level. Oh, you gotta be freaking kidding me. The music for each level fits its setting too. In Rusty Bucket Bay, it sounds harsh, more industrial sounding, while in Bubble Gloop Swamp, sounds like you're in a bayou. The music in its entirety is very bouncy and cheery, while still being able to convey their own themes. As I mentioned before, everything and everyone is filled with so much character and life. Not only do levels have their own unique music and setting, they have their own unique enemies which barely overlap in previous levels. To help you navigate these worlds, Bottles the Mole and Mumbo this guy can assist you by teaching you new moves and mystically transforming you for a certain amount of Mumbo tokens. Bottles has molehills located throughout Spiral Mountain and the first 6 levels of the game. The moves he teaches you are beautiful, man. Let me tell you something. You want to move at a brisker pace than just walking? First level, you get taught Talent Trot, and you get behind a 1200 horsepower Kazooie who carries you everywhere. No slow walking needed. Kazooie can also learn how to use blue eggs as a projectile. She can launch these little suckers out and damage enemies or hit targets with them. She can also launch these suckers out of her ass. Kazooie can learn to add to her fashion sense for a limited time with wading boots and turbo Talon Trot sneakers. Wading boots help you avoid damage in normally harsh conditions Banjo normally can't walk through. The Turbo Talon Trot sneakers is like going from the Acro Bike to the Mach Bike in Pokemon. Trust me, that's enough said. Kazooie can also learn Wonder Wing, which makes you invincible at the cost of gold feathers, and she can learn Flight and carry her and Banjo to new locations. And wait, now that I think about it, Kazooie is like a god. She carries this team, and literally Banjo does nothing. It's all Kazooie. It should be called Kazooie Banjo, but I guess that just sounds stupid. Banjo can like roll into people and like slap them really hard, so that's pretty cool, I guess. Mumbo is a mystic shaman located in a handful of levels who requires Mumbo tokens to transform our duo into mystical creatures such as the termite, and the pumpkin, and the crocodile. Okay, actually, the last one's pretty sick. This is something that is definitely a little undercooked and could have been explored more. Mumbo tokens don't have a standard amount in each level, and they don't give you a sense of accomplishment when you grab them. The most exciting and fun part of the transformation is playing as the crocodile and competing against Vile, another crocodile, in a minigame. Besides that, transformations are only used for a handful of collectibles and can only be used outside of their designated level for a short amount of time, usually just to grab one last Jiggy. Banjo Kazooie is a true collect-a-thon game. With the 100 Jiggies, 900 notes, 45 Jinjos, and more to collect, it's safe to say you'll be busy for a while. Jiggies are Banjo Kazooie's main collectible. If you collect enough of them, they can help you fill out a puzzle frame, which allows you to access a new world. There are 10 Jiggies per level, and they can be obtained in a multitude of ways, such as playing the piano, or beating the crap out of a camel, multiple times, or even destroying people's houses. Lord have mercy on whatever poor soul dare crosses the path of Banjo and Kazooie. There are 100 notes per level, and thankfully, they aren't overly difficult to find. Notes are used for opening doorways in Grunty's lair, and you need to collect at least 810 of them for the final battle against Grunty. Okay, let's talk about Jinjos. Jinjos don't really do much besides look dope as hell and give you a Jiggy every time you collect all 5 of them in a level. Neat! There is also collecting honeycomb pieces, and there are 2 of them in every level except Spiral Mountain, which is the optional tutorial area, which gives you 6. Collecting 6 honeycomb pieces fills out a new honeycomb, which is an extra bar of health for Banjo. In Grunty's lair you can also find Cheeto 3 times. Cheeto's a magical book who will tell you a cheat code that you can enter in Treasure Trove Cove that can increase the capacity for blue eggs, red feathers, or gold feathers. It pays to explore in this game. After collecting enough Jiggies and notes, you unlock the final showdown with Grunty. A board game! I hope you were paying attention to the worlds and taking notes from Brentilda, Grunty's sis who loves to spill the tea about Grunty girl. This board game tests your memory over visuals, audio, names of characters, cold hard facts about Grunty, and more, while dealing damage to you for any incorrect answers. This isn't a super difficult part of the game. Any audio and visual cues are super easy because of their uniqueness. But character voices can be difficult when everyone makes the ooh, 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 ooh. And the Grunty questions are a pain. I never remember what Brentilda told me, and Grunty's just a nasty SOB, so all the answers seem plausible. Worst of all, there are death spaces where you'll get a random question, it can be any subject, and if you get it wrong, you die immediately and go back to square one. Brutal. After completing Grunty's board game, Grunty flees and you finally get a chance to save Tooty, and you all lived happily ever after. That is, until you reload the game to take care of some unfinished business. You can return to the board game and a new path to Grunty's hideout opens, which leads to the real final showdown with Grunty. I'm going to be honest with you, just as a quick side note. There are technically what I would consider 3 bosses in this game, but they're not really worth talking about and shouldn't really even be considered bosses anyway, so the only real boss fight is Grunty, and she puts up a pretty decent fight. If Grunty's board game is a culmination of what you've seen and experienced in the game, Grunty herself is a culmination of the moves you've learned along the way. Thankfully, if you've collected 882 notes and 96 Jiggies, you can refill all your feathers and eggs and double your health bar just before the fight. Grunty has a multitude of phases you need to get through both on ground and in the air, dodging her moves with Talon Trot and Wonder Wing, while being able to hit her with eggs and Kazooie's Beak Bomb. During the climax of the fight, while throwing projectiles at you, Grunty hides herself behind a magical shield, being impossible to damage. Then, everything changed when the Jinjo Nation attacked. Remember how I said Jinjos were useless? I lied. The Jinjonator demands justice and they demand it now. Straight up, these little guys kill Grunty, trust me, even with the boulder movement, she's dead.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
Banjo Kazooie still holds up incredibly well, and it shows why it has such a cult following. Everything is so full of life and character, it's so easy to get lost in its many levels that are all so unique. The music fits every level perfectly and has enough bounce and energy to make you feel like you're truly adventuring. Nothing feels out of place in this game, and collecting things isn't frustrating or too much of a brainbuster. Collectibles have a real payoff, with double health and being able to increase your inventory space. It really encourages you to explore. I'm not gonna lie, I love this game. I have and I will always love this game. But I can't believe I'm saying this, it does have its flaws. Although the assorted enemies of Banjo Kazooie fit in the worlds they reside in, they're not really exciting or threatening and are mostly just minor nuisances. This game also struggles from issues from its own era, like bad camera controls and angles, and the swimming and flying mechanics are just terrible to control. With all of that being said, my son came and sat in my lap while I was playing this game, and it kind of felt surreal to experience one of my all-time favorite games with my best buddy. As I experienced this game for the 100th time, he was seeing it just for the first time. That felt like an incredible moment amplified by a game I know I'll always love. I have no doubt he'll love this game just as much as I do. I recommend playing this on the Xbox if you have it. It has less lag and a little more smoothness. It's 100% the better choice to play on. Banjo Kazooie was a perfect 10 out of 10 when I was growing up, and I still have it as a 10 out of 10 now. It's not as beautiful or as deep as some games that followed, but I'm not expecting Elder Scrolls 6 Banjo Kazooie Edition, and we have to appreciate that it came from a different era. For what Rare was able to accomplish with this game in '98 is undeniably wonderful. So as always guys, these are my opinions about a game that has always been near and dear to me. My opinions may not reflect your own, and that's okay. I 110% recommend this game to anyone willing to give it a shot. I'm sure it'll draw you in. Thank you all for watching a video game retrospective of Banjo Kazooie. If you enjoyed this video, I do have plenty more on the way, so please feel free to like and subscribe. Where does Banjo Kazooie rank among your all-time favorite games? Also, please don't forget to reach out to someone if you're having trouble with your mental health. You are always loved and you're always appreciated.